Hello and welcome back to the van build series. I'm Naz and together with my wife Rosie we're turning this panel van into a tiny home on wheels. What are we doing today then?
Why are you shouting? You're not drinking it.
Okay. In today's video we're going to be fitting our ceiling cladding. Let's get right into it. So to start with today, we had to fix the roof leak again. You would have seen in a previous video that I attempted to fix the roof leak myself, but having only done this at night time and not great visibility, we had to do it again today.
It just sounds like a lot of excuses from Naz, to be honest with you. We just put on that
Seam sealer.
seam sealer, and to be honest with you, it should be sorted now, so hopefully.
Yeah, looking at it in the day, there was a seam of the van which hadn't been treated by sealant, and the water had been getting through that under the sealant which I'd previously put on, and it actually cracked the sealant, making it pretty much useless. That's fine now.
Just like Naz.
So we're going to start by taking our cladding out of the packaging. We bought 3m 8mm tongue groove cladding from Wix. 4 packs should be enough to do this van because it's only a small van. So we're going to start with the centre piece. That's in 3 pieces, so we're going to measure the absolute centre of the van, cut the cladding to size, and then cut it in 3 pieces and make sure it's perfectly central before we move on to working our way out.
But first, let's rewind a few months so we can show you how we're going to be attaching this cladding to the ceiling. We used some self-tapping screws and some sealant to attach 9mm strips of wood to the ribs of the van. We did this all the way front to back, and once the insulation was done on the ceiling, we cut some smaller 9mm strips to attach to the ends to allow for the slight curvature that we have in the roof. This has led to us having a really strong foundation for the cladding to attach to, and now that that's done, let's get back to the video.
Aye.
Hello. Here's another one of our fans.
Calm down, love, you got 300 subs.
There you get our nice little... Here's one I made earlier.
Alright, comes up to there.
Are you okay, hun?
Insulation, all the wood, yeah. So we've measured the full length beam to 249 centimetres, right from the very top where the trim starts to down to the back batten. We're now going to cut that into 3 pieces to allow for the fan cutouts. So one small one at the back, quite a big one, going from fan to fan, and then a small chunk at the front. That one should be 39.
Safety first, kids.
So once we'd figured out the measurements and position of the central beams, we decided to cut all of the 3-piece ones at the same time and fit them all together, making sure that they were all straight and even before we then went on to fit in the full length ones. Doing it this way meant we could pay close attention to the central beams as they were the most important to get right, and if we made a mistake we could easily just take a few off rather than having to take the whole ceiling off. But it turns out we didn't make any mistakes, so it was all good.
Okay, we're having a little break for some donuts and a cup of tea. We've got the majority of the central part of the cladding done, so now we're working with full pieces, so the process should go much quicker. But yeah, it's not perfect by any standards, but it looks pretty good. Yeah?
Yeah. Nice.
Once we moved away from the centre of the ceiling and we were only cutting 1 piece of cladding instead of 3, the process went much quicker. We were just taking our measurement, cutting it out on the miter saw, and then just fitting it in. We pre-drilled and screwed into the cladding on all of our ribs with 2 screws. In hindsight, we probably could have done 1 screw and seen less screw heads. It doesn't look too bad, and at least I know it's up there and it's not going to go anywhere when we're driving around.
Okay, it's been a few hours since the last picture up. We've been just focusing on getting the bulk of the cladding for the centre of the van all done. It took us quite a bit of time to drill the holes for the lights, but we've wired in 1 light. Let's see if it works.
Hey!
So we got 3 more of these to go up in a series connection, and then we'll have a look what it looks like then.
Nice lights.
Okay, I thought I'd talk you through how we're going to do the lights. So we picked up 4 spotlights from eBay. You can get much more expensive ones on things like 12 Volt Planet or any of the motorhome websites. However, these were only 30 quid for 4, so we thought we'd try these first. And then, if we need to in the future, just get exactly the same size lights, just more expensive and maybe last a bit longer. So how we're actually going to wire these up. The lights come pre-wired with a splitter, which then goes off to whatever plug you'd like. However, we don't need that in our system, so I've chopped off all the actual connections which go into the splitter, right down to just a small bit of wire which we're going to run into our 1.5mm twin core wire which we got from 12 Volt Planet. Stupidly, these lights come not black and red how you're used to seeing in a 12 volt system. What is good about these is the live wire is completely white, but the negative wire has got a bit of black on it, so you're going to be able to wire them in no problem at all. So literally super simple, using some Wago clips, just stripping both wires using an automatic wire stripper, which saves a lot of time compared to doing it manually. Making sure you don't cut through any of the wires, and then taking a Wago clip, which is super good for automotive electronics. Run the positive into one of the ports, then up on the ceiling, one of the positives from the initial circuit will go into the middle socket, and then the circuit which runs onto the next light will go into the third socket. So you'll have one for your positive, one for your negative. In the end, it'll all be one big circuit in series.
And as we were losing daylight quick, I quickly finished up wiring the rest of the ceiling lights in a series connection. I may be biased here, but doesn't that just look absolutely gorgeous? If you'd like to know more about a series connection in terms of the lighting circuits or about van builds in general, then I definitely recommend going over to Greg Virgo's YouTube channel, where he's got loads of instructional videos. They're so much better at explaining the electric side of things than I would ever hope to achieve, so definitely recommend going over and checking that out. For the last few pieces of cladding, above the sliding door and behind the driver's seat, I had to add some additional 25mm blocks to support the ends of the cladding pieces. I just attached these to the van using screws and instant grab adhesive. This seemed to work really well and meant that the end pieces of cladding were just as supported as the rest of the ceiling.
It's been quite a lot of time since the last clip. If I'm going to be totally honest, it's been about 2 weeks. Me and Rosie put the roof up and it all went fine. We finalised the sides of the roof off camera with the odd 1 or 2 hours we had here and there, but now it's in and it looks great. We're really happy with the result. The only thing left to do now really is to actually stain it the colour we want to stain it. I've done a lot of research into different types of stain and even paints for the cladding on the roof, and I stumbled upon a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of articles which spoke about VOCs, which is essentially the fumes that the paint or the stain actually gives off once it's applied. There are some which are really high in VOCs that can literally be, discharging gases for months, sometimes even years. So it was really important for us, seeing as we're going to be in here for extended periods of time, and especially because our bed is going to be quite close to the ceiling, really important for us to have a low VOC stain. What we've gone for is bright wax. This is really great stuff to work with. It dries super fast. You just apply it on. After 10-15 minutes, you just buff it with a clean cloth, and the result is a really nice finish. It brings out the grain in the wood and just makes it look really natural. That's the normal cladding, and that's the colour it is on the roof at the moment. That's how you get it in the pack. And this is 1 quart of bright wax. We've gone for the rustic pine. I mean, side by side, I just put these two together, it makes quite a big difference. Yeah, we really like this stain. It brings out the grain, brings out the knots, it makes it just look really natural. So we're going to go with this. We're going to go ahead and start our staining.
king of the road. Trailer for sailoring. Man, trailer for sailoring. Ain't got no cigarettes, but trailer for sailoring. Give, man, don't pay no. Trailer for sailoring. Trailer for sailoring. Ain't got no. Trailer for sailoring.
And there we have it. That's the ceiling, completely finished. Between the two of us, we got the job done relatively quickly, in about 2 or 3 days, spread over the course of a couple of weeks. And this was just to allow time for the staining to be done, really. This is definitely a 2-person job, so I'm really glad that Rosie was here to basically do the job with me. I quickly just wanted to mention why you don't see Rosie in many of these videos. She is here, she hasn't left me, but the truth is I do most of the work on the van myself, and the reason for that is Rosie works long hours as a nurse in the NHS, and her shifts mean that she doesn't really have a lot of free time to spare to work on the van with me. That's fine in most cases. A lot of the jobs are just things I can get done myself. It obviously takes a bit longer when there's only one of you doing it, but the reason she's not in many of these videos is because the majority of the time she's working. So I just quickly wanted to mention that, because obviously the channel name is Couple with a Camper. When we move on to our traveling videos, and certainly over the next couple of months, as we move into the later stages of the build, she'll be present in a lot more of the videos, and you'll hopefully get to see many more of her humorous moments as have been highlighted in this video. So yeah, that's the ceiling done. You saw the before and after, and to be honest, we are absolutely over the moon with it. It's turned out really well. The lights are in and the electrical system is powering that, and we've spent a few nights in here since the ceiling's been done and the bed's been in, and it's really starting to feel cosy and just a nice place to be, really. So that's it from the pair of us today. We hope you enjoyed watching this build process of the ceiling. We're hoping to push out more videos more frequently as the time goes on, and certainly as we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel with this van build. If you're new to the channel, then please consider subscribing down below. Drop the video a like, ask any questions, leave any comments you want down below, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. But until then, I'll see you next time.